Yeah, give Jack a rematch. Give him an immediate rematch and watch what happens. Go ahead, watch what happens. Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who does not handle his losses very well. And I'm here to break down UFC Fight Night 265, Tsarukyan versus Hooker. And taking on Max Jimenez on a Marek Bulyo. That's how you say it. My prediction for this fight, I'm going with Denzel Freeman. I'm going to go with him winning by round 2 TKO. And the basis for the prediction is I trust him more as an MMA fighter. He's a well-rounded guy, seems to have some good traits. He's been tested, which is why he's also suffered a loss, because he's been out there testing himself. And his one loss is a forgivable loss, a split decision to this guy who's a decent fighter in the PFL. But he's also got more impressive victories, and he's won in more impressive fashion. And by that, I mean less impressive fashion, because Marek Bulyo has steamrolled everybody he's fought in like 15 seconds. But that doesn't impress me much, or Shania Twain, because you don't get to find out who he is as a fighter. And I've seen him fighting. Not all the footage, there's not everything available. But I think there's definitely upside, and I know he's a grappler, but I don't think he's going to be handling himself well on the feet against Denzel Freeman. And I also don't trust him overall down the stretch. Denzel Freeman's been tested. He's been in some grimy fights, and he's fought better fighters. And he's been able to pull away in a lot of these fights down the stretch, securing victories. His one fight that he lost against Isaiah Pinson was a very close fight. Really could have gone either way, but Denzel definitely wasn't. He wasn't stepped over there. He wasn't outlasted or anything. I thought he was faring well in the end of that fight, but it was close. He didn't really put a stamp on it, and it went the other way. But he still got great wins that mean more than anything Marek's got. This guy, Steven Asplund, who he beat by rear naked choke, he's actually in the UFC. He got a Contender Series knockout a few months ago, and now he's fighting next month. And this win over Hugo Cunha, that was for the LFA Championship. But that was a nice round 2 TKO where he outlasted Hugo there. Hugo won round 1 and was able to take him down and land the better shots. But right away in round 2, Denzel shucked off a takedown, pounced on him, and then got on top of him and beat him down on the ground. He had a close fight here against this guy, Gustavo Trujillo, split decision loss. That guy, if you look at his record, it's not pretty, but he's got a very underrated record. Nothing but forgivable losses, including this one to Denzel Freeman. It was a grimy clinch fight, really could have gone the other way. It was almost entirely fought in the clinch, which bodes well for Denzel's cardio because he was still landing on Gustavo. Definitely had the biggest non-clinch moments in that fight. But yeah, in a grueling fight, not only did he make it to the final bell, but he put up enough points where he got the win over Gustavo Trujillo. And you see here as an amateur, his one amateur loss is a decision loss to Johnny Eblen. So Johnny Eblen, who's also one of Gustavo Trujillo's only losses, by the way. But Johnny Eblen and Isaiah Pinson, this guy in the PFL, those aren't bad losses. He's never been finished. He's looked really good and well-rounded, Denzel Freeman. I have seen him, all of his fights, I think. He can fight well on the feet. He's a much more comfortable striker. He's got it going on more than Marek Bulyo, and he can fight everywhere. He's a good wrestler. I can't say he's got good grappling, but he's not afraid to grapple, snatch that rear naked choke over Steven Asplund. He looks like he can fight anywhere, and he's going to be tough to bulldoze. And Marek Bulyo is a guy who is he only knows bulldozing as an MMA fighter so far. So I've got some Max Jimenez hitting a wall type of shit happening, and I've got Denzel slowing him down and beating him up and getting a TKO in round 2. There are no odds. I'll wait for them, certainly. And if he's an underdog, I'll play him. And if he's a favorite, I might play him. I might go reaching for props. I don't know. But I do favor Denzel Freeman here. There's just a lot more to trust. My prediction here is Yahkyaev wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And I have no confidence in that prediction whatsoever. I think Nicholas Dalby is a big step up, even though he's got a lot of downside as well, which I'll get to. And Saygid, despite his upside, I mean, he's a fucking monster. 22-2, really impressive resume, nothing but forgivable losses, and he's smack dab in the middle of his prime at 31 years old, 10 years younger than Dalby. But despite all of that, he's coming off of a 3-year layoff. His last win is over the ghost of Shinya Aoki. And now, 3 years later, he's stepping under the brightest of lights and going up against Nicholas Dalby, a guy who's been known to make those lights seem even brighter and drown you down the stretch. Is he known for that? I don't know, but it's happened a few times. But yeah, the point is, there's enough going against Saygid Yahkyaev. But technically, I think he's a big problem for Dalby. This guy's a monster. Definitely a grappler first and foremost, but he can fight everywhere. He's not the most likely guy to cash in on a chin. Nicholas Dalby, not that he has a bad chin, but if he does, it's here to stay. I mean, he was knocked out once, and it was in his last fight earlier this year. That's typically not everything, but when you're 41 years old, it can be everything. And you never know. But I still think Saygid is technically sound, and he's a problem on the ground for Nicholas Dalby. Dalby, who's never officially been submitted. He had a loss in which he was clubbed and subbed against Jesse Ronson, but Jesse had the loss overturned, or the win overturned, because he tested positive for the whole fucking pharmacy. But Saygid Yahkyaev, I think he'll definitely be the better grappler and wrestler, and I envision him not being able to close a show on Dalby and then kind of changing gears and fighting for a decision, because he knows Dalby's a workhorse even at 41 years old, and he's still going to be coming. But with the layoff from Saygid, and with Dalby being who Dalby is, even at 41 years old, he's a problem. He's been a problem for everybody. He actually had a lot of momentum before that loss to Randy Brown. I couldn't trust anything. Saygid, he's minus 340. I'm probably not going to be looking to reach for any props that's a reflection of that money line, especially when I couldn't commit to a prop in the first place. And for Nicholas Dalby at plus 270, there's value there. I probably will go sprinkling props, reaching for Hail Marys and shit, the Nicholas Dalby comeback special. But in general, I'm staying away from this, but I have to favor Saygid Yahkyaev. He's got nothing but forgivable losses himself. UFC fighters have beaten him. Elias Silveiro beat him by decision in 2018. That was mainly striking, where he was thwarted by a better striker. Carlston Harris beat him with what else? An anaconda choke. Carlston was able to shuck off takedowns from Saygid and maybe slow him down a little bit and then lace it up in round 2. And even as an amateur, his one loss, which is by TKO, is to Magomed Umyalatov, who's a fucking killer over in the PFL. So despite the layoff and the moving up and all the horse shit, I'm going to favor Saygid. He typically gets it done by submission, but Dalby, he's never officially been submitted, so I'm picking him to grind Dalby to a decision. Dalby, though, before that loss to Randy Brown, he did have that loss to Rinat Fakhretdinov, but that was half a victory. He really took it to Rinat, really outlasted him and gave him one hell of a fight. And speaking of outlasting people, he outlasted Gabriel Bonfim and handed him his only loss, which is a win that has aged very well already. Bonfim is like 3-0 since then, and he's going to keep climbing, I think. Dalby, he's gotten a handful of wins that are more valuable than anything on Saygid's record. And of course, his losses are all forgivable, all respectable. And up until recently, they're all by decision. Again, the Jesse Ronson fight notwithstanding. I think Dalby's got upside in this matchup. And I think he's If he gets Saygid tired and shucks off his takedowns, I think Dalby absolutely can Gabriel Bonfim him or Nicholas Dalby him like he did to Bonfim. I really do think Dalby is the type to make him pay on the feet. He's really rough. He turns it up when you're slowing down. And yeah, he's still a 15-minute workhorse at 41 years old. But I have to favor Saygid. Dalby, he's still older, slower, takedownable, and I think he's up against a really good fighter. Saygid is a Yahkyaev. He's been beaten before, sure, but I think he's going to prove to be, at the very least, an above-average UFC fighter. And that's why I've got him getting an above-average UFC win in his UFC debut here. Saygid's the pick. All that other horse shit, you already know. Next up, we have Nurilo Aliev taking on Shem Rock, who's making his UFC debut. My prediction here is Aliev wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And the basis for the prediction is, even though Nurilo Aliev is the younger guy and the more inexperienced guy, or I should say the less experienced guy, he is still a guy with a lot of valuable experience in his 10 fights. And he's got a nice deep resume, and he's won plenty of fights, grinding 15 minutes. Of course, he's got the UFC experience, and he's also got a valuable style as well. Nurilo Aliev, I envision him out wrestling and stuffing the guard of Shamrock and winning with top position on points. Shamrock, he's a really dangerous guy. He's the guy I should really be talking about here, making his debut. He's smack dab in the middle of his prime at 32 years old. Got a record of 11-1 with 10 finishes, 8 of which come by submission and 7 of which come by rear naked choke. He's definitely a rear naked choke guy. That's how I envision him winning any fight, including this one. Before anything else, rear naked choke. He's good at turning the corner, and obviously he's very dangerous. He's long, tall, wily, and a good grappler. But I envision him being out-grappled and particularly out-wrestled here. He's got one loss, and it's by knockout. It's to Nathan Kelly, who, if you don't know, that's a good fighter. Nathan Kelly knocked him out. He wasn't unconscious in that fight, but he got clipped with some short shots against the cage and never recovered. And he has this draw against this guy, Arthur Lima. That was a razor-thin fight. Probably a draw because of a 10-8 round in round one, maybe. It was at least halfway there. But pretty much he outlasted the guy. The guy Lima put him in some really dangerous spots, all submissions. A flying triangle early on, ended up taking his back, and he threatened him with leg locks throughout the whole fight. But Shem Rock had an increasingly easy time shucking off those subs, and in the end, he was the one who grounded Lima and generally stuffed his guard and beat him up. And I thought really close fight in the end. Lima did a lot of good work, but probably best that it's a draw. But yeah, he's definitely got a really good resume and a lot of good skills. But here he's fighting a guy, Nurilo Aliev, who, despite some adversity that we've seen him face against Rafael Alves and Joe Selecki, he's undefeated and he's got a really deep resume. Bunch of good fighters on his record and a bunch of hard-earned victories. He's this one here against Zanukov. Was majority decision 7 years ago. That's a really good victory. That was one where he was using his wrestling, stuffing the takedowns, and comfortably outpointing him on the feet. I don't know how fucking comfortable he was. But he definitely can fight everywhere. But he is a beast of a grappler, a guard-stuffing monster. And I think watching him do that to the likes of Joe Selecki and Rafael Alves, I envision him doing that to Shamrock here. Shamrock is a long, tall guy, not the most imposing physical force. He's got his own physicality, which can present tricks that you're not used to. But I think Nurilo Aliev, he's shown an ability to survive underneath Selecki in round 3, which wasn't the greatest look. And in round 3, again, with Rafael Alves, hitting him with a big shot and putting him in a guillotine, which that guy's got a guillotine from hell. But Aliev shucked it off, reclaimed control of the fight, and I've got him doing the same thing here with Shamrock. I think he'll always be able to have that physical advantage and that wrestling advantage and shuck off the subs and reclaim top position. He's obviously got plenty of deep experience, plenty of deep fights. He put away the guy Josh Wick on the Contender Series. But otherwise, it's been a lot of decisions for Nurullo Aliev, which is why he's fighting on the fucking second fight of the night or whatever this is. But I think he keeps climbing here. I have a lot of faith in his skills, no doubt in his traits. There's no doubt in anything with this guy, and I think he's going to produce another victory here. He is the pick. I have not bet on him yet. He's a minus 310, wherever the fucking odds are. Right here, minus 310. I'll wait for the props, though. I do think he's much more likely to win by decision, so maybe there'll be something there. I have Ismail Naurdiev taking on Ryan Loder. My prediction for this fight is Ryan Loder wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And I'm not too confident in that prediction. Ryan Loder is just not the most reliable. He doesn't have the most reliable resume. He's 7-2 as a pro. I know he's got those wins on the Ultimate Fighter, and he's the winner of the Ultimate Fighter tournament. But he's 7-2. His one loss that he had before coming to the UFC was a split decision. Tough loss to this guy Troy Green, where Loder did look tough when wrestling wasn't solving the fight for him. But his last loss to Azamat Bakoyev, he was overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed by a much more dynamic, dangerous guy, and he was out MMA'd. And I think Ismail Naurdiev is he's the much more reliable MMA guy at 24-8. He's got a wealth of experience compared to a guy who doesn't have 10 fights. But I still think Ryan Loder is fighting a less dynamic guy here in Naurdiev, a much more manageable guy to take down and take into his world, where he is the man of steel, the American wrestler Ryan Loder. And I think he's going to make that the story of this fight. Guy, he's in his athletic prime. Again, he looked really good on The Ultimate Fighter. And here, I don't want to say it's my last, his last hope with me or whatever, but I will have a lot of doubt. I think his profile will change completely with a loss here. Naurdiev is favored to win. He's the much more tested fighter, even though he's vulnerable in a lot of ways. But I don't think Ryan Loder is going to be able to go through him in any conventional sense. I don't think he's going to overwhelm him on the ground. I don't think he's going to knock him out on the feet. I think he's going to pin him and slow him down. And if he ends up going through him and getting him out of there, it's going to be a grinding second or third round finish. But I think Ryan Loder ends up getting those takedowns and taking control of this fight. He's definitely not the Iron Turtle who was able to take down Naurdiev and outlast and outgrind him. Jun Young Park is just a much more complete, bona fide MMA fighter. But Ryan Loder, he's still got that wrestling. He may be halfway to Chael Sonnen as for his overall skill set, where he's always going to be leaning on that wrestling, but wrestling's enough to beat a lot of good fighters, and I've got it beating Naurdiev here, and I've got him winning by decision. I can't be too confident in the prediction, and if he was to win, I can't be too confident in the decision anyway, because he's only got 2 of them. But that is the prediction. I think Ryan Loder is going to be trying to make up for that loss to Bakoyev. I think he's going to be trying to fight to his strengths and manage his energy well. And I think he's seen Naurdiev slow down, and he's going to try to grind him down. So Ryan Loder by decision is the pick. I'll wait for the props and see if there's something to play there. But right now, with just the money line, I like Ryan Loder. On Bezkat Almakhan. My prediction here is Bezkat Almakhan wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by round 3 TKO. And it's really not based on the one loss of Alexander Topuria. It's more based on the wins of Bezkat Almakhan. But mostly what it's based on actually is just the experience. Bezkat's got more MMA experience. I know there's a lot more than meets the eye with Alexander Topuria, of course. But Bezkat, he's got twice the MMA experience and a lot more valuable experience as well. I mean, in the UFC, he knocked out Brad Katona in a minute and lost really impressively on short notice to Umar Nurmagomedov. He clipped him, which was impressive enough, but more impressively, he did not get finished with Umar Nurmagomedov all over him on short notice. But before coming to the UFC, he's got a lot of valuable experience, uh, good wins down the stretch, a lot of round three finishes. Maybe not all the most competitive fights, but he's definitely faced adversity. This guy, Mateus Gloria, had him, I can't say hurt, but he dropped him in round one with a nice right hook. But he came through with a head kick there. He got a nice head kick over this guy, Giovanni Vargas. He's got danger in all three rounds. He stays really sharp. He's got takedowns in all three rounds. That remains really sharp, although I don't know if it's going to be the game plan here against Alexander Topuria. But I just think Bezkat Almakhan has nothing but forgivable losses, and that includes this round two guillotine to Sultan Zhuzhubek. That guy's a really good fighter, and there's no shame there. But he's just got so much upside, and even a deep amateur record. If you see here, Sergey Morozov in an amateur fight in 2018. He's just got a wealth of MMA experience. He's got skills everywhere, but particularly on the feet. He's really sharp. So is Topuria. I mean, Topuria is way sharper beyond his experience. But Bezkat, he's got all the traits, all the experience. He's been there, done that, beaten a lot of really good fighters, maybe not great fighters, but really good ones. And I've got that being the difference. Alexander Topuria, he's got one loss. It's a very forgivable loss. It's 10 years ago to this guy, Ivo Ivanov. And that guy's a fucking monster. And even though Alexander Topuria was taking it to him and was much cleaner than him, he wasn't able to outlast the guy, and that guy's a physical fucking tank, and he just stopped him in his tracks. Really defended a takedown and just pounded him out. But that was a monster. I believe that was a lightweight fight. May as well have been at fucking super heavyweight. But it was 10 years ago, so it may as well have been on another planet. But since then, certainly he's righted the ship since coming back to MMA in 2021. But we still don't know everything we need to know about Alexander Topuria as a fighter. His brother, of course, with the way he looks, that bodes well for Alexander's profile. But his one truly competitive fight he's had since then is against Colby Thickness. I liked the way he looked in that fight. I thought he was pretty comfortably ahead. Round two was close enough, but I still thought he won it. But he reclaimed control in round three and definitely didn't fall off a cliff there. So there's nothing but upside with Alexander Topuria. I envision him trying to be the wrestler here, even though he's a fucking Topuria. He's always going to start off being the boxer. But I think Bezkat's going to be fast and dangerous, and he's going to be trying to turn this into a more physical fight. And he may succeed, but I still think Bezkat's seen it all, done it all. And aside from that one submission 5 years ago, he's survived everything, including Umar Nurmagomedov on short notice. And I think he's going to survive Alexander Topuria and thrive down the stretch. And I've got him closing the show just because I know he's still dangerous, and it just kind of makes sense plugging in their records. But I could totally see him winning a scrappy decision here, being the anti-wrestler and the sharper guy who outlasts Alexander Topuria. I don't know everything about Topuria. Needless to say, there's a ton of upside with him as a fighter. He's got visible skill everywhere. He's definitely sharper technically, well beyond his 6-1 record. You could see it in his hands and his wrestling too, his grappling altogether. He's definitely a force. But despite all the upside, I'm going with the proven track record of Bezkat Almakan. The odds are toss-up odds right now. Bezkat is a slight favorite. You know what? I'm switching all that shit. I'm going with Topuria. No, I'm going with Bezkat. I just kind of wish he was an underdog. But tight enough. It's toss-up odds. You go with your conviction, and my conviction is Bezkat Almakan has too much going for him, and he wins this fight. Horiguchi, who is making his return to the UFC. I love Kyoji. My prediction, Tagir Ulanbekov wins, and I've got him winning by decision. I have to favor Tagir. Not that he's much younger. These guys are close enough in age, believe it or not. But Tagir, I think, is in his prime. Kyoji, I think, is slowing down. At least that's how it looks to me. And I think Kyoji Horiguchi is a really well-rounded guy, but I think here he's not going to be able to go through Tagir on the ground. I think on the feet, Kyoji's probably going to be sharper with his hands. He's got phenomenal hands and good kicks as well. But I think Tagir Ulanbekov will move better, and he'll win the kicking battle. And even though he's not likely to cash in on the chin, a potentially declining chin of Kyoji Horiguchi, I do think that could be a thing. Kyoji's got a lot of mileage and a very pretty record, and where that would be enough to overwhelm a lot of guys with less experience. Tagir Ulanbekov, this is his 20th fight. He's not some spring chicken himself. And he's got a lot of good experience. He's definitely an above average UFC fighter. Kyoji Horiguchi was a way above average UFC fighter in his day. And I bet he's still going to be a damn good one today. But I think Tagir is going to be a little better than him. I think Tagir is more likely to win the wrestling battle. I'd pick Tagir to get the first submission as well. And I can't say I picked Tagir to get the first knockout, but as far as winning the striking battle, I think Tagir is very much in the realm, although Kyoji is sharper. And I'm aware Tagir's coming off that win over Azam Maksum, which I thought was really close. I think Azam Maksum, I thought for like half the fight that he was going to win it. But in the end, Tagir really earned that decision victory, but it was close. And it was just another example of this guy having great traits. He's a guy that took it to Clayton Carpenter. He had gritty wins over Bruno Silva, Alan Nascimento. Those weren't easy fights. Those are dangerous guys in different ways. And he's had his legs chopped and his neck threatened. And he survived everything. And the two guys that beat him are both really good fighters. Tim Elliott and Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Both guys beat him by the skin of their teeth. The Elliott fight was a 3-rounder, and that was 3.5 years ago. But without that, if that went the other way, he would have a ton of fucking momentum right now. Not that he doesn't with a 4-fight winning streak. But yeah, I think Tagir Ulanbekov is going to take it to Kyoji Horiguchi. Kyoji Horiguchi, he's lost 5 times. He's been finished in 3 of them. The only guy to ever submit him is a fella named Demetrius Johnson, who got him out of there with an armbar with 1 second left in a 25-minute fight. Just one of the fucking coolest armbars ever. Mighty Mouse in his prime. And the 2 guys that knock him out were Sergio Pettis with a spinning back fist. That's some real Sergio Pettis shit, it turns out. Got him out of there in round 4, even though Kyoji won the rematch. And also Kai Asakura knocked him out, even though Kyoji won the rematch. Kyoji's got nothing but big wins over there. He's been fighting in Japan since leaving the UFC. Ton of excellent wins. Hiramasa Ojikobu, Sergio Pettis, Makoto Takahashi, Zulu here. He's definitely still a viable fighter, but I think against Tagir Ulanbekov, he's going to run into a prime UFC guy who's going to show him that next level, take away half his options, and on the feet, be too tough to catch with his boxing and too versatile to dictate the fight. So Tagir Ulanbekov is my pick. I've got him winning by decision. Should I have the fucking odds for you here? He's a 2-1 favorite. I haven't bet on him yet, but I'll wait for the horse shit. All right, it's loading up, but he's a 2-1 favorite. Kyoji's coming back at plus 160. If Kyoji was the win, I'd pick that to be a decision as well. So if you're going to play that, that'd be my advice to you to cover his side. But I've got Tagir winning. Cerqueira versus Abdul Rahman Yahkyaev. That's right, Abdul Rahman Yahkyaev. What? My prediction for this fight is Yahkyaev wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by TKO/knockout because I'm a little bitch and I want to cover the TKO on the ground and the knockout on the feet with my prediction. But I do envision him getting the finish on the ground. But Rafael Cerqueira, mainly, he's only been taken out on the feet. He was beaten largely on the ground against Julius Walker, but he was knocked out against Modestas Bukauskas and Ibo Aslan. Those are his only two losses. But in general, I don't think he's long for the UFC. And this guy, Abdul Rahman Yahkyaev, who's making his debut, I think he's going to be around for some time. He's only 7-0, and he's only 24 years old, so it could all collapse on him soon where he's run into a wall and he just wasn't prepared. But despite not having such depth to his resume, he's shown a bunch of great traits when he's needed to. In this fight against Nikolai Kovalenko, that was a 5-round fight. He didn't face too much adversity there, got some easy takedowns in every round, but he was clipped in round 2. Technically, he was dropped, but he was definitely hit with some good shots. But in general, that was the only moment where there was a little doubt there. Otherwise, he was in cruise control throughout the whole fight, and he went 5 hard rounds. He had this win over this guy, Yusupov, Nazmuddin Yusupov, a triangle choke in round 2. That was a really impressive victory, and I want to see where this guy Yusupov goes. That win might age well. Right now, it's his only loss. But he looked pretty damn resourceful in that fight. He laced up a Darce choke right away, which I loved, and had it as a pretty good threat, but then had to abandon it and got his back taken. He had his back taken, both hooks, stayed very patient, fighting it off, and then from having his back taken, he laced up another Darce choke when he kind of scooped his hips out and or scooped the other guy's hips out, really, laced up a Darce choke from there, which was just fucking insane. But after a few more failed Darce chokes and maybe a little too much settling back, I guess not too much, but he did settle back, hanging on chokes, and eventually he got one with his legs with the triangle choke. That looked like a really good victory, only his second fight. And again, I don't know where that guy's going to go, but it might turn out to mean something. But every other win of his has been pretty easy. Cerqueira's, I have doubt in his chin, so I may as well talk about the TKO wins. He steamrolled this guy, Alec Lorenz, on the Contender Series. And this guy here, Mujamaju Lamin. Both guys, he got out of there in no time, in 30 seconds, just steamrolled both. Clipped this guy, Lamin, with a big shot and then put him away on the ground. And this first fight, also, he put that guy away on the ground, the TKO, within 3 minutes. That was a back mount situation. But on the feet, without being able to fully tell how dangerous he is, I still think he's got something for Cerqueira. But altogether, MMA-wise, I think he's definitely got something for Cerqueira. Where Cerqueira had a tough fight with Julius Walker, I think this guy, Yahkyaev, has a little more going on. And I think he's going to prove to be a really big threat with any takedown and a little bit of time to work. So I'm going to take him winning by closing the show. Again, maybe it'll happen on the feet, but the official prediction is it happens on the ground. I think Cerqueira, he hung in tough against Julius Walker, but I don't know exactly where that guy's at either. But I think there's a lot of upside with Yahkyaev. He is my pick to win. And at minus 1,000, no fucking way. Maybe reaching for a general prop might work, but in general, trying to trim things down from that line, it's just not going to be worth a play on a guy that I'm not too sure of. Rafael Cerqueira on the flip side, plus 650. He's mainly a TKO guy, even though I got to picture him winning a decision, maybe top position or whatever. Maybe I'd look to throw sprinkles on that shit, but certainly not with any conviction. In general, I'm sitting this one out, but I'm going with the youth, the upside, the newcomer, Yahkyaev. Next up, we have Luke Riley making his UFC debut against Bogdan Grad. My prediction for this fight is Bogdan Grad wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And the basis for the prediction is I'm one of those desperate contrarian type jerk-offs who's always got to go against the current whenever there's a hot prospect making his UFC debut. But you already knew that anyway. But I am going with Bogdan Grad here because I do have faith in this guy. I think he's a reliable grinder. I think he's more physically imposing than I gave him credit for. I know he lost to Muhammadjan Naimov, but I think Bogdan Grad is a physical force. I think he's a better wrestler. I think he's going to be looking to take down Luke Riley, and I think he will. And I think where he fails, he'll still slow him down. And on the feet, even though he's really got to watch out for Luke, who is incredibly talented and faster than Bogdan, Bogdan still is a tough son of a bitch with some good pop, and he keeps coming like the Terminator. I should mention he's been knocked out once against Tom Nolan. That's one of his 3 losses. And it's not like it's not a concern of mine. It is in the back of my head. And Luke Riley, as you see here, he's got 11-0 record. He's got 8 knockouts and his 11 victories. So it's definitely a concern. But I think Bogdan Grad has looked incredibly tough. His win over Michael Aswell, his win over Lucas Alexander, his defeat to Muhammadjan Naimov still kind of raised his stock a bit, in my opinion. And I think he's primed and ready to beat Luke Riley, to slow this kid down and get in his face, and to keep coming when the going gets tough. Luke, he's always kept coming. He's never been defeated. The toughest fight he's had was this guy, Alexander Loof, who had him badly hurt in that fight, badly hurt, and almost knocked him out, almost TKO'd him, almost submitted him. But Luke showed a bunch of great resolve and composure and danger and turned it around and got the guy out of there, knocked him out in round 3, which, you know, I love a round 3 finish. He also got a nice round 2 finish in his last fight against Abasov. Guy was all over him early, crowded him, took him down. He conceded the round, but he was a sharper man in round 2 and then just took over. Started ripping him up and down and eventually got him out of there with knees and punches. Beat John DeJesus. He beat him pretty comfortably. That was a 3-round decision where he was a step and a half ahead of the guy. Same thing with this guy, Malta. He's fought a lot of comfortable fights, winning by decision, but he's also gone 15 hard minutes in these fights. It's good experience for a guy who's got only 11 professional fights. And again, when he's been tested, he's passed these tests with flying colors, dropping rounds and putting bad spots, and he's passed every test. There's no reason to doubt him, but I think Bogdan Grad is better than he's being given credit for here. And I think Bogdan is reliable to crowd Luke Riley. He's got to try to crowd this kid's kicks. By the way, this kid is an excellent striker. I don't know why I don't talk about him. I'm just talking about the matchup, but I should introduce the fighter. He definitely has a really high ceiling. He's gotten these finishes down the stretch and early on. He's got above average danger, but really good overall striking. Very technical, very measured, very powerful, and very good cardio to back it all up. And yeah, he's really sharp, really good leg kicks as well. Not leg, probably good leg kicks as well, but I was thinking about body kicks and front kicks and shit. But he's got overall a great striking game. And I think he's going to be faster than Bogdan Grad. And I think Just based on what I've seen, I'd give him the first knockout, even though, again, he was halfway knocked out against Loof. But I do think Bogdan Grad is going to be that Terminator that shows him that next level. He's going to keep coming. He's going to get in his face. He's going to score some points by crowding him. And I've got Bogdan winning a decision. Bogdan is plus 220. I like that. We haven't seen Luke Riley lose. I imagine it would be by decision, but there's no telling exactly what it would look like. And the money line is definitely good enough for me. Although, of course, I'll wait for the props and see what else. Bogdan is the pick. Next up, we have Alex Perez taking on Asu Amabayev. My prediction for this fight is Alex Perez wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by TKO in round 2. And the basis for the prediction is, even though you see a bunch of red here on Alex Perez's record, I think he's still a very good fighter. He may not be near or at the top of the division, but he's near enough. And I think he's going to show Asu Amabayev that next level. Alex Perez is very submittable historically. He's got 9 losses, 5 of them by submission. The 2 TKO losses are not such a thing. He was taken out by injury against Tatsuro Taira in his last fight with his knee, which I should mention, he was injured a year ago, if you remember, in the main event of that fight. I'm assuming he's all back to normal, but he is coming off a knee injury. And he was TKO'd against Joseph Benavidez. Benavidez, who is one of the best fighters of his era, caught Alex Perez on the ground, had him in a position where he could land ground and pound him. He was able to close the show, but it's not like Perez went unconscious or anything. So he's got a good chin. I think he's safe on the feet. I think he's dangerous on the feet. And I also think Alex Perez in general has wrestling that'll shut down Asu Amabayev. If he doesn't, he's got to watch out because, again, he's submittable. 5 of his losses come by sub. I know Amabayev isn't Alexandre Pantoja, but Amabayev is a dangerous submission artist. He's got good control. But I think Alex Perez is going to show him that next level. He's going to be a difficult guy for him to control if he does get him down. And on the feet, I think he's going to show him that next level. Maybe not quite like Manel Kape. Perez isn't as dangerous and as overall as good as Manel Kape, but he's still a really good overall striker. Broke Jussier Formiga with leg kicks. That's actually his second to last win. He's really had a shitty streak of luck and a lot of injuries and horseshit. But also he knocked out Mateus Nicolau last year in another main event of his. And I think Alex Perez is still in his prime. He's only got tough losses against killers. And here I've got him winning this fight. He is plus 160. That's good enough for me because, I'm not married to knockout. But, of course, I'll see everything when it drops on Wednesday. And I'll go with him winning by round 2 TKO. I'm not too confident in my prediction, and I'm even less confident in my method of victory. But I'm going to go with Spivak winning because I think he's going to be faster than Shamil Gaziev. And certainly I think if he hits him, takedowns will mean a lot more for Sergey Spivak than they would for almost any other heavyweight. I guess not Jailton Almeida, but just about anybody else. Sergey Spivak can do more on top. But Shamil Gaziev, he's really dangerous. He's a big, strong guy. He's got good takedown defense, and he doesn't overextend himself. He's not going to make it easy for Spivak to take him down. But I still think Spivak is the faster man, both on the feet with strikes and with wrestling. And certainly he's better on the ground. Spivak's got a chin that's failed him a couple of times. He's been TKO'd in 4 of his 6 fights. They aren't all knockouts. Jailton Almeida got him out of there via TKO on the ground. But Cyril Gahn, Tom Aspinall, and Walt Harris have all caught him. And it's a concern because Shamil Gaziev is a big fucking dangerous guy. We've seen what he's done to Martin Budai, Thomas Peterson in his last fight. He's a dangerous guy. And he's got 9 TKOs altogether in his 14 victories. I just think, even though I've seen him fight on the ground and he's not a fish out of water, I think he's up against it here against Sergey Spivak like he hasn't been up against it before. Shamil Gaziev's got one loss, and it's the Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Gaziev started off strongly, fell off a cliff, and it was a slow death with Rosenstruck beating him down. He had another fight that was pretty close over this guy, Kirill Kornilov. I did think Gaziev won. In general, secured top position, but he had some precarious moments, being swept and nearly submitted. Speaking of which, he was submitted as an amateur. In his last amateur fight in 2019, he was caught with a rear naked choke. I just wanted to let you know that I know that. And he also lost by decision as an amateur, and he beat that guy via rematch in his professional career via TKO in round 2. And that was a pretty tough fight for him. He's definitely been tested, but he hasn't been tested on the level of Sergey Spivak. And I think Sergey Spivak's going to next level him. Sergey Spivak's coming off that loss to Waldo Cortez Acosta. Really could have gone either way, in my opinion. I didn't think it was a bad performance at all, and that wasn't his type of fight. It wasn't made easy for him. But I think he's going to have assets on the feet. He's got to worry about his chin, but I think he's going to be faster, and he's a good striker. And on the ground, I think he's just better than Shamil Gaziev. Gaziev might be too tough for him to go through on the ground, but I think Spivak is just better there, where if there are points to be scored and someone's winning on top, it's him. And certainly if there's a finish there for somebody, it's for Sergey Spivak by submission or TKO, and I've got the TKO. The odds are really tight. He's plus 120. I haven't bet on him yet. The over-under is now available at 1.5 rounds. I'm inclined to say this one ends via finish. Again, I think Sergey Spivak's a killer when he gets on top, generally speaking, even though Gaziev could be a tough guy to just go through physically. And on the flip side, if Gaziev is the win, I've got it being by knockout in the first half of the fight. So maybe the under's worth playing, but I'm more the type to wait for under 2.5 rounds and play it at a shittier line. But yeah, I've got Spivak winning here. This is Mikdebek Orolbai. My prediction for this fight is Jack Hermansson wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And I can't be too confident in that prediction either, but he's a decent underdog, so you bet your ass I'm betting on it. I've got Jack Hermansson winning, even though there's some doubt here. First of all, he was knocked unconscious in his last fight against Gregory Robocop Rodriguez. Obviously, Gregory's a monster. But still, it was back at the end of June, not too long ago, and he was knocked out badly. Secondly, he's dropping down in weight here, and it's not just an easy drop down. It's 15 whole pounds, and he's doing that at 37 years old. So there are some strikes against Jack here. But assuming he makes the weight and assuming everything goes well and all that horse shit, I've got him winning by being too difficult to go through on the ground for Mikdebek Orolbai. Jack Hermansson's got good takedown defense anyway, but he's got a much bigger frame now at welterweight, and I would think he's got stronger takedown defense there. And on the feet, even though he's got to worry about his chin now a little more, I still think Jack is the cleaner striker between the two. And I think he can do what he did to Joe Pyfer once he got going to Mikdebek Orolbai. Jack Hermansson, he's polished everywhere. He's much more dangerous on the ground, and I don't know if that's going to be much of an option here against Orolbai, although, Jack is so good. If he gets your neck, you're in trouble. But I think Jack is still well equipped to fight 15 hard minutes. I think he still moves well. I didn't think he looked bad until he went unconscious against RoboCop. And I've got him winning against a much less dangerous guy in Mikdebek Orolbai. The guy's fucking awesome, Orolbai. Don't get me wrong. He is awesome. And that war he had with Rambeshki last year showcased all of his traits. But I think Jack wins a cleaner fight here. against a guy that can't go through his chin unless the fucking 15 pounds really makes it that much easier. And I don't think Jack Hermanson is a guy that's going to be gone through on the ground either. I mean, Roman Dolidze has much greater, stronger physicality than Miktabek Orolbai. And Jack Hermanson, he's stronger than Uros Medic. So, yeah, I've got Hermanson winning here. I've got him winning by decision by being the cleaner striker and the anti-grappler in this case. He's a 2-1 favorite, 2-1 underdog, I'm sorry, and I like that. And as for the over-under, which now just dropped, yeah, I feel like that makes sense. It's set at 2.5 rounds, and it's favored to go the distance. I think that seems right. Probably no play from me there. And I'm going to go with him winning by knockout in round 2. And the basis for the prediction is Volkan Oezdemir is really fucking dangerous, and Alonzo Menifield's got a suspect chin. I mean, both guys have been knocked out and certainly roughed up, but Menifield's been knocked out more. And on the flip side, as far as danger and power, I don't know. Menifield's pretty fucking powerful, punch for punch. But Volkan Oezdemir is the more dangerous guy altogether. And he also has no time for this bullshit. So maybe I should have gone with a round 1 knockout. But either way, round 1, round 2, if he knocks him out, he's going to point to his watch and go, no time. But yeah, Volkan Oezdemir, he's not without his own setbacks. He's been TKO'd twice, technically. I don't even need to look. One of them was against Cormier, and that was a wrestling loss. And the other one, and a jiu-jitsu loss as well, really. And the other one was against Yuri Prohashka, where he was knocked out. It can happen, but Yuri Prohashka is the most dangerous man walking the planet. I think Alonzo Menifield's going to have a very difficult time corralling Volkan Oezdemir, and I think he's going to have a very difficult time turning this into a physical fight. Alonzo's going to be looking to get in tight, where not only is Volkan Oezdemir less dangerous, although he's still very dangerous, but Menifield is going to be physically stronger. I think Volkan Oezdemir keeps this one generally in his realm. Maybe roughs up Menifield in tight, but keeps this one standing. And at range, I think he's better. He's quicker. And I think overall, he's more dangerous. And Menifield's a guy who's been knocked out a few times himself. Azamat Mirzakhanov, Carlos Olberg, Oven St. Preux. He's definitely been shaken up, and I think even though those are really good, dangerous fighters, Volkan Oezdemir is in that same class. He's a really good, dangerous fighter. So I've got Volkan Oezdemir turning this into a faster fight and a less physical fight and being too much for the chin of Alonzo Menifield. Volkan Oezdemir is minus 238. And the under is minus 145, under 2.5 rounds. Might have to go with that under. But yeah, the pick is definitely Oezdemir by knockout. And in the co-main event, we have Ian Garry versus Belal Muhammad. My prediction for this fucking fight, I'm tired, is Ian Garry wins, and I've got him winning by decision. I think Ian Garry is one of the very best outside strikers. I think he's going to win the fight that I expected Wonder Boy Thompson to win when he fought Belal Muhammad 3 years ago. Ian Garry, much like Wonder Boy and much like Michael Venom Page, he's karate guys. Not that Ian Garry is that, but Ian Garry is a very good outside striker. He moves well. I think he's definitely dictating things at range against Belal Muhammad. And I'm sure he knows Belal's plan is going to be to corral him into a takedown, corner him, and then get in on his hips and try to double leg him. Ian Garry, he's got good takedown defense. I know he can get a nice wide stance being a tall guy and defend against the cage. But in general, he's got to spend the majority of this fight off of the cage to get the better of Belal Muhammad. And I think he will. I think he's also the more dangerous guy. I mean, Ian Garry isn't Mr. Danger, although D-Rod might disagree with that. But he is still the more dangerous guy between the two because, let's face it, Belal Muhammad is just a very reliable grinder. But I think Ian Garry is not going to get the finish here. I'm picking him to just get the better of Belal on points. Not beat him up as badly as Jack Della Maddalena, but to more smoothly outpoint him and to keep the physical fighting and certainly the takedowns and grappling to a minimum. Ian Garry is the pick, and Ian Garry is not the bet, not yet at minus 250. I'll wait for everything and see to make a play. Minus 315 for over 2.5 rounds. That seems about right. I think the primary path to victory for either guy is a decision. And like I said, the upside with the finish belongs with Ian Machado Garry. We have Arman Tsarukyan taking on Dan Hooker. My prediction here has to be Arman Tsarukyan wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by round 1 knockout. That makes it sound like this is an easy matchup for him, and it's not. Dan Hooker's a fucking warhorse. He's got so much grit and so much valuable experience, but he's been caught cold a few times. He's been stopped in his tracks in round 1 typically, and Arman Tsarukyan's pretty fucking dangerous early, and I think that's what happens. I think he clips Dan Hooker and closes a show early, kind of like Arnold Allen did or fucking Michael Chandler. But if I'm wrong about him catching him early, I still have to favor Arman to win this fight. I think, of course, he's a monstrous grappler. He's good everywhere, really good everywhere. But I think he's a much better grappler and more reliable grappler than Dan Hooker. And I think Arman still has a ton of hustle in him as well. We've seen it in his fights, a lot of his victories and his losses, both to Islam and Mateusz Gamrot. Really close 5-round fight, that fight. And I'm aware Dan Hooker is not too far removed from his win over Gamrot. That was his last fight in August of 2024. That was another really gritty, grimy win, just like his win over Jalen Turner. Dan Hooker, he's got a 3-fight winning streak. He's 35 years old, and he's not too active these days. He's fucking hosting drunk fights in his backyard or whatever. But he's still a prime athlete, or close enough, and a bona fide warhorse. And he's as dangerous as anybody with his knees. So I think he's got something for Arman Tsarukyan, but he's got to take Arman into deep waters and turn this fight into a war. And I think Arman Tsarukyan is in control of this fight from the beginning. I think he's the more explosive, dangerous guy on the outside when he's firing on all cylinders. And I think in the beginning and even in the end, if he gets tired and it turns into a war and whatever, Arman is still the better wrestler and grappler. So I favor him to win. I think Dan Hooker would have to turn it into a war to win, or, of course, catch him cold. Arman has been knocked out himself. He was knocked out against this guy, Balik. But he avenged the loss. He was knocked out, this guy Balik in 2015. And then a year later, he got the guy out of there with a guillotine choke. I'm sorry, I'm fucking tired. What do you want from me? Arman is the pick. He's way too big of a favorite at minus 560 for me to bet on him. The props probably aren't going to be too pretty either with a money line like that. But with the over-under set at minus 3.5 rounds, I like the minus at minus. I like the under, I should say, at minus 135. Again, I think Arman is a really dangerous guy, and I've got him hurting Hooker early and getting the fight done. So that's that. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Check out my other videos.